The Varnari did not ask questions. They didn't need to. They're telepaths. Inquisitors could unravel truth with a touch. Thoughts, lies, secrets, all stripped bare in seconds. Empires feared them. Criminals begged for death before interrogation. And humans? They were supposed to be easy. Primitive minds. Loud, chaotic, undisciplined. That's what the record said. That's what they'd always believed. Until today. The human was captured during a skirmish near the periphery. A lone survivor pulled from the wreckage of a Terran scout ship. No name, no rank. He was conscious, calm, bleeding, but still watching. When asked for identification, he gave none. When questioned, he stayed silent. When threatened, he smiled. That alone unnerved the Varnari, but still they were confident. They summoned Inquisitor Visa, the youngest mind reader in a century to attain full merge status. She had pierced the minds of mass killers and royal conspirators. She once extracted a confession from a creature that had no spoken language. She walked into the interrogation chamber without a word. The human sat unchained, unarmed. His gaze followed her like a scalpel, cutting without touching. Vise approached slowly, extending 2 fingers. He didn't flinch. Just a scan, one of the guards muttered. But the human's voice cut through the silence. You shouldn't. The room froze. Visa tilted her head. I don't need permission. He smiled again, not with arrogance, with warning. I wasn't giving it. Then her fingers touched the skin, and the chamber erupted. She screamed instantly. Not a gasp, not pain. A scream that ripped the sound from the walls. A scream layered in frequencies, some too high for physical ears. Blood burst from her nose. Her eyes. She reeled backward, convulsing, slammed into the wall, clawed at her own face. The guards moved, too slow. Her body collapsed, limbs twitching, eyes wide but unseeing. The human hadn't moved. Not an inch. Not even a blink. He just sat there, watching. One guard raised a weapon. Another hesitated. The lead officer shouted, "What did you do?" The human turned his head slightly. Nothing. They tackled him, sedated him, hauled him out. Med teams rushed in. Visa wasn't dead, but she wasn't awake either. Her mind had retreated. Fully. The Varnari High Tribunal launched an immediate investigation. Earth was contacted. No response. The prisoner was scanned. No implants. No biological anomalies. No psychic shielding. His records were scrubbed. No name, no known family. A Terran intelligence ghost. They moved him to a Class V facility. Not for his protection. For theirs. Visa remained in stasis. Neural patterns looping. Her last recorded brain spike was equivalent to a battlefield trauma victim. Not physical damage. Psychic impact. Something she saw in that human's mind broke her. The physicians couldn't explain it. The telepaths refused to try again. But one truth spread to the halls of power like a virus. The Varnari, Galaxy's most feared mind readers, had touched a human and couldn't survive it. Visa didn't wake. Not after an hour. Not after a day. Not after the 4th neural purge attempt. She remained locked in her own mind, trapped beneath something no one could name. The Varnari tried to suppress it at first, called it an incident. But rumors are oxygen to fear, and the word spread that a Terran's mind had burned through the Inquisitor's own. Inside the deep detention core Durek station, the human waited. He didn't speak, didn't demand, didn't ask for food. He read a paper book. No surveillance showed where he got it. When asked, he only replied, "You left in the last cell." There had been no last cell. And yet, the book was there. The warden ordered it confiscated. The next morning, the book was back. Open. Same page. A summit of psi species gathered under the Compact's authority. Representatives of the Varnari, the Threskai Intuitives, and the Nyari Dream Binders debated one question. Was a human weaponized? The answer was unclear. But the Threskai proposed a test. They would send another, a second reader, one stronger, one without Visa's sentimentality. The Varnari protested. The Compact overruled. Inquisitor Dren was chosen. He did not fear the task. He had once cracked the mind of a sapient machine that had rewritten its own memory pathways to avoid capture. He'd seen death, torture, entire planetary genocides through the eyes of monsters. He entered the Terran cell with his posture perfect and fingers prepared. The human looked up from his book. "Are you the one they sent to finish what she couldn't?" Dren didn't answer. He touched the human's hand. 3 seconds passed. Then Dren screamed. Not like Visa. His sound was deeper, rougher, a growl of understanding too late. He tore at his own wrist, trying to sever connection. He convulsed violently, eyes wide, chest heaving, collapsed, unconscious, and smiling. This time, Earth responded. A simple message. From Terran Diplomatic AI Node 17. We warned you. Human minds were not made to be read. They were made to survive what would shatter most. The compact accused Earth of psychological warfare. Earth replied, "You think we built this? We didn't. We were born in it." The message ended with one line of Terran cultural reference, untranslated. "You want to see the abyss, but the abyss sees you first." Medical scans of Dren's brain revealed a new neural pattern, a recursive memory loop embedded deep in a synaptic relay. When extracted and translated, it read, "Don't look again." No one knew how it got there. There were no implants, no contact devices, no psychic attack detected. The human had not moved, and yet the message was clear, not a threat, a warning, from somewhere inside. Some compact analysts began to theorize, what if human minds weren't locked? What if they were open, but built like a pressure trap? One that didn't lash out. One that simply waited for someone foolish enough to step inside. A mind evolved not to deceive, but to protect itself from being known. Because on Earth, long before spaceflight, the greatest danger wasn't the wild. It was other humans. They tried once more. A neural scanner this time. No touch. No direct connection. It failed in under 10 seconds. The scanning device caught fire. Not due to overload, not sabotage. It burned itself. The last image captured? A human child, smiling, standing in front of something that had no face, no shape, and no defined edges. Just a presence, watching the viewer. Then black. After that, no one tried again. Visa still slept. Dren refused to speak. And the human? He kept reading. Same book, same page. But now... The guard didn't look him in the eye, because they understood. He hadn't hidden anything. They were the ones unprepared. Unprepared to see what it cost to be human. Earth finally answered, not with a warship, not with a threat, with a doctor. She wasn't a general or a diplomat. She wasn't armored or armed. She walked into the tribunal hall, wearing a simple Terran coat, hands visible, steps steady. Dr. Lien Kovacs. Neurocognitive trauma specialist. Civilian. She was escorted to the center chamber, surrounded by the most powerful empaths and mind binders in the galaxy. She was not intimidated, because she knew they had questions. And worse, they were desperate for answers. "We don't train our minds to resist," she said. The tribunal murmured. Dr. Kovacs continued. "That's what you all assume. That we weaponize thought. That we engineer terror. That we plant traps." She shook her head. "We don't. Our minds look like traps to you because you were never meant to survive our environment." She paused. Let them absorb that, then said, "You call Earth a death world. You're wrong. Earth is a survival crucible. Our evolution didn't reward domination. It rewarded endurance." She pointed to the hologram of Inquisitor Visa's neural scan. This isn't trauma from a weapon. This is trauma from witnessing memory without filters. Pain stored perfectly. Fear unblunted. Loss relived nightly. Humans don't purge. We retain. They argued. That couldn't be true. Every species built defenses. Psychic membranes, memory partitions, inherited neural cooling sequences. Dr. Kovacs nodded. Exactly. You evolved to shield yourself from pain. We evolved to live with it. A dream binder stepped forward. But why did she scream? The doctor looked at him and replied softly, because the mind she touched didn't resist her. It welcomed her. And what she found inside wasn't rage or horror or madness. It was the truth. Kovacs tapped the screen again. She saw everything. Every childhood illness suffered alone. Every predator facing darkness. Every memory of someone screaming in the distance, hoping someone would come. Every time no one did. She saw our empathy, too, but not as comfort, as a burden. Humans don't just feel each other's pain. We carry it, and we never set it down. In the silence, someone whispered, "But why would you keep it? Why not forget?" The doctor looked around. Because forgetting is luxury. And for humans, survival never gave us time to heal. So we adapted in the only way possible. We made our minds hold the damage. Kovacs turned to the central display. "Tell me, when Visa touched him, did he fight back?" The tribunal was silent. No, he just opened the door. And she walked into the deepest, darkest part of what makes us who we are. A Nyari seer finally said it. She saw a species that survives not by domination, but by enduring every nightmare it can't escape. Dr. Kovacs nodded. That's what it means to be human. We don't just suffer. We remember. The tribunal tried to end the session, but not before Kovacs gave her final thought. You think your minds are sharp, clean, precise. Ours are not. Ours are scarred, twisted, layered. We walk with ghosts. We carry wars on our backs. We choose to keep the memories because forgetting would mean it didn't matter. And we refuse that. As she left, none of the mind readers met her gaze. Even without touching her, they felt it. What lay inside every human wasn't darkness. It was depth, and it had no bottom. The compact quietly classified all files related to the incident. They issued no formal bans, no public statements. But across the stars, something shifted. Mind readers refused Terran assignments. Psychic guilds added addendums. No human contact. No human scans. No exceptions. Not from fear of humans. From fear themselves. Because now they knew the truth. Touch a human mind and it won't fight back. It'll simply let you in. And what you find there is you, but unfiltered. Inquisitor Dren woke. Not fully. His body moved. He ate. He walked. But when asked what he saw, he only said one thing, always the same. There was a child, standing in fire, smiling at me like I belonged there. He didn't scream anymore, but he never laughed again. In a sealed chamber aboard the Varnari flagship, Inquisitor Visa finally stirred. Not to a voice, not to treatment, but to a sound, paper pages turning. Her eyes fluttered open. The human was beside her bed, book in hand. Same book, same page. He didn't speak. He didn't smile. He just sat there, breathing, present, and for the first time in over a cycle, so did she. Tears streamed from her eyes, not from pain, from understanding. She finally whispered, "You weren't hiding anything, were you?" The human closed the book. "No." "Then why did I collapse?" He leaned forward, calm as still water. "You touched a memory that wasn't yours. You weren't trained to carry it. You weren't supposed to." She nodded slowly. "I saw children." He said nothing. "I saw death." Still nothing. "I saw people smiling through it." Then finally he spoke. "Now you know what makes us dangerous." She expected fury, bitterness, arrogance, but all she heard was grief. Later, when asked if she'd ever read another human mind, Visa replied, "Never again, not because I can't, but because I finally understand I shouldn't." The Compact revised their threat protocols. Humans were no longer listed as militarily dangerous. They were listed as cognitively volatile. A single line was added to every training syllabus. You may fight a human. You may trade with one. But never, ever look too deep. You won't survive the reflection. Back on Earth, when the doctors received the Varnari medical scans. They weren't shocked. One of them, a veteran therapist, simply muttered. She made the mistake of asking what are humans, and forgot to wonder why we're still here. Because Earth's minds aren't weapons. They're archives. We don't just think. We remember for everyone who didn't make it, for every name carved into cold stone, for every scream that never ended, for every laugh cut short. We carry it all, and we don't let go, not because we can't, because we won't.